Okay, good number of hands. How many have worked with those in the National Guard, or they actually work? You have workers in the National Guard. Wow, huge round of hands up there. I wanted to do this because we are not a bridge to industry. The National Guard is industry, right? 430,000 strong. So Jim, thanks for having me today. Very much appreciate it. And it's an honor to be with you today as we discuss the critical role of the National Guard in defending and safeguarding our nation. We are at a pivotal moment in history, a time when the security of our homeland faces challenges from near-peer adversaries who are relentless in their pursuit of advanced capabilities and strategic advantage. In this era of complexity and uncertainty, one truth rises above all. Innovation is not just an option for the National Guard. It's a must to be our way of life. Author James Clear said in his book, Atomic Habits, every action you take is a vote for the type of person you wish to become. From my perspective, every small decision, every training exercise, or new technology we develop as a force is a vote towards extending our advantage as a lethal, resilient, and agile National Guard. For more than 388 years, back to 1636, the National Guard has been the backbone of America's defense, a force that bridges the gap between our communities and our national security. But the threats we face today are unlike those of the past. Near-peer adversaries with sophisticated systems, advanced technologies, and global ambitions are working to close the gap, but we cannot allow that to happen. We have to accelerate and reform our acquisition processes. We must leverage the incredible ingenuity of our warfighters and our nation's industrial base to rebuild our military. This will elevate our capabilities and reestablish credible deterrence. Innovation is the fuel that drives readiness. It's the difference between reacting to a threat and anticipating it. It's the ability to turn a drone into a force multiplier, to harness artificial intelligence for real-time decision-making, or to transform a young guardsman back-of-the-napkin idea into a solution that makes us a more lethal force. In the National Guard, our dual mission is to serve both state and nation. And that demands that we think creatively and act decisively. We don't have the luxury of complacency because every dollar we spend, every hour we train, must push us to grow that advantage as we outthink and outmaneuver those who seek to undermine us. Innovation isn't just about technology. It's about warfighters. To paraphrase General George Patton, wars were fought with weapons, but they were won by people. And that is where the National Guard truly shines. Unlike full-time active duty soldiers, guardsmen split their time between civilian professions and military service. This creates a cross-cutting effect that fosters adaptive and innovation problem solving. To capitalize on our unique capabilities, we must empower every guardsman to think creatively, to experiment, and to fail forward. It's about fostering a culture where a mechanic in a motor pool or a cyber specialist in a small town can spark the next great breakthrough that ripples across the entire Department of Defense. We have something that our adversaries can't replicate, the ingenuity of the American spirit. Embodied in the warrior ethos of our citizen soldiers and citizen airmen. And I would argue that history proves this out. You only survive 388 years if you have the ability to adapt and overcome. So what does that mean for us today? It means investing in cutting-edge training and equipment. And yes, but also ideas. It means partnering with industry and the joint force to stay ahead of the curve. It means embracing risk, learning from our setbacks, and rewarding bold thinking. Above all, it means recognizing that in a time of near-peer adversaries, status quo is not an option. We simply must continue to build on our asymmetric advantages by putting the systems we need in the hands of our warfighters. When we innovate, we decisively win. As 30th Chief of the National Guard Bureau, I've had the privilege to see firsthand the men and women of the National Guard across our mission areas, in the warfight, defending our homeland, forging partnerships local to global. They are the future of our nation's defense. They are innovators whose bold imagination will carry the National Guard to victory. These are soldiers and airmen who rise to each challenge with courage and creativity, ensuring that America remains stronger together and stronger tomorrow. Thank you.
Great. General, if I may, I'd like to start with a question. So in a recent book by Dr. Alex Karp of Palantir called The Technological Republic, he talks about how the best minds in the country today are building ride-sharing apps and food delivery apps. How can the Guard capture that spirit of tech and innovation so that these young men and women can actually contribute to the mission as a bridge between active service and part-time service? And what is the Guard doing to capture those folks?
Thanks a lot for the question. And first off, the Guard's uniqueness, like I talked about, is dual role. And so we not only are across 2,500 communities in every zip code and every combatant command. Right now we have about 42,000 serving around the globe. We're also not only in the state, but also in that federal role. So both, we go back and forth. But the second part, like I talked in my opening statement, is our citizen soldiers. So with 430,000 strong, about 1/3 full-time, 2/3 part-time, that means about 320,000 of our Guardsmen are working across thousands of different mission sets. And so they bring together those capabilities and those innovative minds. I'll give you a for instance. When I was the wing commander at Toledo, I was talking to Senior Master Sergeant John Durate. And I said, "Hey, Senior, I haven't seen you in a couple weeks." I said, "What you been doing?" He said, "Oh, I've been overseas." I was like, "Overseas? What you doing?" "Well, I got one of his companies, writes banking code for Zurich Bank. So he would go over to Zurich for 2 weeks out of the month, and then the other 2 months would be back. He also made fire retardant foam that was able to help support local fire departments, one of his businesses. And so those are the folks that are in our formations that are constantly thinking. We had another airman, Tom Burden, Staff Sergeant, who was on Shark Tank, innovating, created a product called Grip Mat. And just those minds are constantly across the board. And I could go on and on with discussions like this, but because of the citizen soldier aspect to it, our folks bring a lot of innovative ideas to the force every day. And when I sit in a room and do a meeting, I have to ask everybody in the room like what their best idea is, because somebody sitting maybe not at the table could be a CEO worth multi-million dollars, running 2 businesses that brings incredible innovation to the table. Thanks for the question.
General, I would like to stay in the same general vein. Let me go on. I'd like to stay in the same area. As the DoD and the nation have evolved to the bulk of R&D spending now coming from industry and business, how do you think about creating partnerships with the business sector that help accelerate innovation? And then how does that work with your citizen soldiers who might be in one particular sector working through the conflicts of interest?
Once again, appreciate the question, and how do we work back and forth from the standpoint with the National Guard, and how do we work with industry? So, like I said, a lot of our folks work in industry. There are other things that we're doing for what I would look at and call bringing defense industry and those partnerships together, and that happens through a couple different things that the National Guard does. 2 of those I would look at is we have a ARC Web TAC once a year, where our captains and our majors are bringing in the skill and the requirements that they need for future warfighting. Those concepts get brought in and put into a mod book, and that's shared with industry across the board. We have a domestic op conference as well where industry comes in and we do industry days. And we're sharing those ideas and understanding what our gaps and seams are and how we might look to find things, commercial off-the-shelf type technologies that we can bring and innovate into the fight. Back during my early days flying the F-16, I flew an old targeting pod, and it wasn't good enough to drop things in the efficiency that we needed to work in close contact with our soldiers on the ground. I learned about a lightning pod that the test center had brought together. The next time I went to the desert, I had this incredible capability that I could work in close contact with special forces or Army folks on the ground to make sure that we could give them the right weapon in the right time. Other things we're currently looking at real time in the cockpit, where it's a system on a KC-135 that provides not only data across the board for them to see, but also share data across further and further. So these technologies are coming into our formations and making us stronger in warfighting.
So continuing on the theme of technology, the civil-military integration, when you look out across the next 10 to 20 years and technology continues to evolve and change, how do you see the role of the Guard changing to capture that advance?
So as we are two services, right? So the National Guard has both Army National Guard and Air National Guard, and so we are moving as fast as we can in transformation with our services, both on the Army National Guard and the Air National Guard side. So close partnerships with General George and General Alvin. I currently have the 54 adjutants general in town that we're getting after those type of ideas. And General George and General Alvin will speak to all the adjutants general. So that's how we're talking about getting to the 21st century so we stay engaged. And we're bringing those ideas that the National Guard has and making sure that we can capitalize on those as well.
I'll change it slightly. One of the areas that the DoD and the nation are getting increasingly threatened by, and it seems like we're struggling, is in the area of cybersecurity. With Guardsmen, you have the opportunity to have some really good civilian cyber folks. How is the Guard helping the department and the nation think about enhancing cybersecurity writ large?
Cybersecurity is national security, right? When we think about all the different things that we have going on, we talk about defense critical infrastructure and state critical infrastructure and how those two merge up. So our National Guard, both on the Air National Guard and the Army National Guard side, have dozens of cyber protection teams. Those integrate under Cybercom and General Hawk, and he and I are very close. And we look at the role of should they be in a state active duty thing because they're helping in a local attack or cyber thing that's going on, but is that attack a local attack or is that a national attack? Is that or a nefarious attack from a foreign actor? And so we have to figure that out and work across those authorities, state active duty to Title 32, which is federally funded but state controlled, to Title 10, which is federally funded and federally controlled, and how we work those back and forth to make sure we have the right airmen in the right spot with the right tools and the right capability. I will give you a quick for instance. So when I went several years ago out to Western Air Defense Sector and we had a cyber protection team in there, I asked the individuals to raise their hand who was full-time and who was part-time, and 2/3 raised their hand that they were part-time. And I said, hey, can you tell me who you work for? I won't name all the companies, but if I did name them, you would know every one of them, right? And I said, hey, what do you do for that company? I'm Vice President Cybersecurity for ... all the way across the board. How many of you are losing money to be on orders? They all raised their hand. Whose spouse is upset that you're gone? Everybody's raised their hand. Who wants to come back and do the mission again? All of them raised their hand, right? They want to work on both their business side, but also on the federal side. And those two merge together incredibly effectively across the board that give us that tool from Cybercom, from our national defense, down to the governors, all the way down to local communities to make sure that we can get after the cyber threats.
Great. So changing the topic a little bit to more current events, things that are being talked about in Congress and the administration. We've heard a lot of talk about the Golden Dome concept, Iron Dome for America. When you consider the dual-headed Title 10, Title 32 authorities, I can't think of a more critical capability of defending the homeland and our national security. How is the Guard thinking about Golden Dome, and where do you think your role might be in that?
Thanks for the question. It's early, but let me just talk about a couple things that I've already mentioned, right? National Guard's 430,000 strong across 50 states, 3 territories in the District of Columbia. Cost-effective, efficient, very experienced, and then we get to defending of the homeland. So how many people, well, I won't make you raise your hands again, but the National Guard does ballistic missile defense, right? That's a mission set for the Army National Guard. The Air National Guard does 94% of the aerospace warning and control for the U.S. as a whole. Across the continental U.S., it's 100%, and in Hawaii as well, 100%. The air refueling is 100% from the Air National Guard. When we look at the NCR, and in my previous job, I was the CONAR 1st Air Force AF North and AF Space Commander, long title, but one of those being the CFAC for NORTHCOM, and that mission space is looking at what the Guard does across the board. And so I think the Guard looks forward to not only what we currently do within the NCR, where we hold multiple missions, but then across the U.S. and where we can engage in the future and be a super benefit to Golden Dome as we go forward. So we look forward to those opportunities.
Yes, sir. That was, you stole my question, sir. That was exactly the question I was going to ask. Can I ask the closing question, sir? Because
Sure.
I know you reinforced you've got all the tags in town. You need to get back to brief. 2 questions. Number 1, if you had $1 more, where would you spend it? And then number 2, what keeps you up at night?
Okay, Jim, every dollar we spend, we have to get after war fighting. So one of the things I'm doing right now is I'm doing full sprints on war fighting and those readiness accounts to make sure that we're putting every dollar in the right place to get after the biggest bang for the buck on war fighting. And then we continue across the National Guard to get after our warrior ethos, right? Whether it's in the homeland or warfight, or building partnerships around the globe. The state partnership program that the National Guard has is partnered with 59% of the nations worldwide. So we have 115 partners globally that we also engage with. So from that standpoint, where I look at retention and recruiting, I would have said that maybe 3 or 4 months ago, but retention and recruiting, we're staying focused. We got pedal to the metal, but we've had record recruiting for the last 3 months, and we're over at end strength for the Army National Guard, and we're definitely going to meet end strength for the Air National Guard, so we're really moving in large places there. And then the second part of your question?
Oh, what keeps you up at night, sir?
So, yeah, just the globe. So we're constantly focused on making sure that the Guard has been around for 388 years, and our motto is always ready, always there. And I know our Guardsmen, when get called, they move out. So we're always accessible, and the National Guard vision here is to be an elite and lethal warfighting force and a response force, stronger together, stronger tomorrow. And I appreciate the time here today with all of you.
Well spent. Any closing thoughts, sir?
Nope, just thanks a lot. Appreciate it. Your National Guard is in your local community. We're meeting and exceeding our retention recruiting, but if you're somebody who wants to join the National Guard, come. It's incredible mission space, whether it's in your community or serving in your state or serving globally. The National Guard is a great place to work and get after warfighting.
Well spoken.
Thank you.
We're going to, if it's okay with you, we're going to take a break.